Hey guys, I wanted to just congratulate you. You're almost to the end of the course, and so that's certainly a great accomplishment. And part of getting to the end means that your field experience reports are due. And so I wanted to take just a few minutes to kind of go over the requirements of that with you to make sure you understand exactly which paperwork, which forms I'm going to need to have from you, and what your paper should look like. So to start out with, there is a Dropbox for your field experience reports. So you will just upload all of the documents there, the same way that you've done for the journals and the same way that you've done for your other written assignments. So you can upload more than one document. So if you have scans of each of the forms separately, that'll be okay. So the first form that I need is the verification form, and all of these are in the field experience packet. This is the verification form. So it looks like this, and you should have had your supervisor sign off on that. And if you have done your hours at more than one placement, which hopefully you haven't had to do that, but if you had and you're dividing your hours between two places, you will need to have two verification forms. So one for each place where you did your hours. The second sheet you need to turn in is the honesty pledge. So it just says that you actually did the hours, you've done the work, you haven't had any academic honesty issues on this assignment. And then the next sheet that you'll need to turn in is the sign-off form, which looks like this. So this is where you should have been having whoever was supervising you at your field experience sign off each time you completed hours, and it should have a total over to the side. Now, just to remind you, you do need to have 10 hours, and this is kind of an all or nothing assignment with that. So if you don't have your hours done, talk to me, and we'll try to work something out. A worst case scenario, I have to give you an incomplete for the course, and you turn it into me later, and I will update your grade accordingly. However, I will say historically students who have not been able to get it done in the semester and who receive incompletes, I tend to not hear from them again. So they kind of disappear. So I don't want that to happen to you guys. That would mean that you would end up with an F in this class, and that doesn't seem right because you've done all of the other work. So make sure you've got your 10 hours and you've got copies of those forms. Now, just to mention, for those of you who may be have done your hours at Oasis, you are still responsible for turning in the verification form. But in terms of hours, you do not have to turn in my sign-in sheet, but you will need to have a printout from Oasis of just you with your hours on there. So they type it up really nicely. Elizabeth should be able to sign off on that for you and stamp it at the bottom. So they do send me reports, but I have, unfortunately, too many students to go through and match all of this up. So you are responsible for making sure you have your own hour sheet included in your submission. So, all right, so those are the forms. And the next thing that you need to turn in to me is the actual report. So the report is divided into 4 sections, and the rubric that is in the field experience packet kind of gives you an overview. So you can see that just for turning in your forms, you will actually receive 20 points towards this assignment, and then the paper itself is worth the other 20. So this assignment's out of 40 points. In terms of the paper itself, there are 4 sections. They're each worth 5 points. The first section is to describe your placement. I would expect this to be about 1 page double-spaced. Total, the report should be between 4 and 5 double-spaced pages. It says 1,000 words, but I don't count words, and I don't want you to worry about that. So just know 4 to 5 double-spaced pages should get you in the ballpark of what I'm looking for. So with the description of your placement, you need to tell me the name of the organization, where it's located. I would like to know kind of the hours if this was not a traditional school. So for example, if you were with the Boys and Girls Club, the Boys and Girls Club is open from 2:30 to 5, Monday through Friday during the school year, that kind of thing. Give me an idea of when it's open. Tell me about the demographics. So what's kind of the ethnic breakdown of the students who attend? Any kind of poverty statistics that you're aware of. If you were in a school, it's pretty easy to find a free and reduced lunch number for the school. That's a pretty good indicator. Elsewhere, you may just need to kind of tell me like, hey, this is low income, this is serving a low income population, something like that. So in addition to kind of the hours, the demographics, the other thing to let me know is cost. So is this a free program? Are students responsible for paying for some portion of it? That's really helpful, as well as the number of students who are served by the program. So for example, again, Boys and Girls Club serves 70 students. They're broken down by grade, that kind of thing. So I expect a good solid description to take about a page. The next section is activities and experiences. So this should be the easiest one for you to write. You're just going to tell me what you did. So I showed up, I worked with 2 students, we did reading, I helped them with their homework, that kind of thing. Should be really straightforward. I would say no more than a page on that. And if you used field notes, took field notes while you were doing your hours, that should really help you with this section. I do not need you to turn in your field notes though, so just use that to kind of help you as you write. The third section is key issues and concerns. This section is where students historically kind of need the most help in terms of getting all the points. So what I'm looking for, key issues and concerns, should be directly related to this class. And I think the best way for you to do that is to have 3 specific examples where you pull out course topics and relate that to what you saw at your field experience. For example, we talked about the idea of acting white. If you were with a large African American population, you may have seen aspects of that. We talked about acculturation and differences with acculturation. If you're with a large immigrant group, you may have seen that. We talked about cultural capital. That's a really common one people use in the report. Cultural capital being more experiences with the dominant culture. And let's see, we talked about compensatory programs, kind of filling in that gap for students who may not have as much cultural capital as we'd like to see in school. So hopefully you guys kind of get the picture here. We read the high cost of poverty. You could talk about poverty issues, language issues, the difference between ESL, the role of ESL programs in school, how the students you worked with were doing with ESL programs. Any of that is fine, but I am looking for 3. So 3 specific ways that you can connect what you saw in your field experience to topics from this course. And if any of you are in other classes where you've had to do field experience this semester, like 2110 or EPSI, sections A and B can be exactly the same for multiple classes. However, sections C and D are really the places where you want to make sure you're differentiating and making it course specific. And I think using the 3 examples is a really good way to do that. Okay, so then the final section is personal reflection. And so this is just an opportunity for you to talk about what you saw, what you experienced, and how that kind of impacted you. If you can relate it back to the course, that would be great. For example, I never really thought about issues of poverty in the United States before I really saw this. Or if you were doing your hours somewhere that was predominantly white middle class, hey, I had never considered the idea of white privilege before this course, and now I really feel like I'm a little more aware of things that are happening, and a lot of the students I worked with are not. So however you want to phrase it, other personal reflections, this confirmed I want to go into education, maybe it didn't, maybe I have definitely had students before who said, hey, I thought I liked kids and then I did this field experience and I don't like kids. So I would rather you find out early on in your program than get further in and decide that education's not for you. So hopefully that's a good enough overview for you. So just to remind you again, the forms I need: the verification form, the honesty pledge, the sign-off form, and then your report with 4 sections. Please use section headings to help me see very clearly exactly where you're dividing up your report. So Section A, describe your placement. Section B, activities and experiences. Section C, key issues, concerns. Section D, personal reflection. So hopefully that'll go smoothly for you guys. If you have any questions about field experience, please email me or give me a call, and I'll be glad to go over that with you. And good luck as you finish up this last piece of the class. Thanks.